Hello one and all, my name is Ryan Bruce. My friends call me Fluff, and today on Riffs, Beards, and Gear, we are going to check out the Carbide from Catalinbread. As heavy guitar tones go, I think you'd be hard-pressed to find a more unique tone than the classic Swedish Chainsaw Boss HM2 guitar sound from the late 80s, early 90s that seems to have made a resurgence in the last few years in the guitar world. Well, Catalinbread has their own spin with the brand new Carbide, and we're gonna check that out today. Now, before we go any further, Catalinbread has sent me this pedal to show you guys you can consider this a sponsored video. However, all thoughts and opinions are mine. Now, we all know the Boss HM2 sound. Some like it, some don't. And you take all the knobs, you turn them all on 10, and there's been a lot of variations of that pedal, but really those were just kind of rehashings, or a lot of them were just rehashings of that classic circuit, as vintage HM2s go for quite a bit of money these days. However, Catalinbread has done us all a favor, and they've kind of boiled it down and revised that circuit to make it a little bit more user-friendly, in my opinion, with just 3 knobs on the Carbide. And we're gonna dive into this today. Now, the 3 controls on the Carbide are dry, wet, and emphasis. Now, the dry signal is a clean boost. The wet signal is a modded HM2-ish sound. And then the emphasis is gonna be dialing in your low end and how much of that you want, coming from how you combine the dry and the wet signals. It's nasty, it's dirty, it's gritty, it's awesome. Let's check it out in a full mix. Now we're gonna go ahead and do a little bit of a playthrough. I'm gonna twist some knobs, I'm gonna dial in a tone, and I'm just gonna kind of walk you through the things that I'm doing while I do it. And let's dive into the nastiness, shall we? All right, so I have the All right, so I have the Catalinbread Carbide in front of me. I'm going into my clean channel of my Bogner Shiva. My bass tone without the pedal sounds like this. Very, very clean. Now I have the controls on the Carbide all at noon. We're gonna go over them. Here is what we're starting with right now. Sounds gritty, it sounds nasty. Also sounds like surf music with the cleaner setting. Okay, so we have dry, we have wet, and then we have the emphasis control. Now, the emphasis control is going to kind of tighten up the low end. All the way down is gonna leave maximum low end in the signal. Now this will be easier to hear in just a second. So with the dry, I'm gonna turn the wet all the way off. And the dry is not totally dry, it's a little crunchy. Now, if I turn the wet to noon and the dry totally off, we get just the wet signal. You can kind of hear those sub lows. Now, if we want to tighten that up with the emphasis, we can turn that up. I generally like it around 11 o'clock for my own personal taste, depending on the guitar that I'm using. However, with the dry signal, we can kind of add in some definition of the picked note. Now we can add this in as little or as much as we want. Let's play with that. To understand the dry and wet controls, it's really similar to what modern heavy music uses for bass guitar tones, blending the low portion, the low frequencies of the clean DI with the dirtier, distorted parts of the top end. It's along the same principles. It's not exactly the same. However, you get definition in the low end because you don't really want to distort your low end. That just doesn't sound good at all. However, I typically like the dry pretty low on this pedal. I like it about here. Catalinbread Carbide. All right, so what do I think? This is a really cool take on that classic Swedish Chainsaw guitar sound, in that the ability to blend the dry and the wet is really, really cool. And it's something that kind of is very common with bass guitars, in that you keep the low end clean and you keep the top end and the upper mids distorted. This kind of is along that same treatment, and that gives you low end clarity with the grit and the dirt that you want, and the emphasis control while tightening up the low end and cutting the treble is a welcome addition. You gotta cut the treble if you start going nuts with this pedal and that circuit, because it will kill your ears if you're not careful. Pretty cool. Catalinbread Carbide. I will link down below in the description. And with that, you've been wonderful. I've been Fluff. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you next time.